which was built in 1989 for the local carvers to practice their craft. Today here we have a hide carver named Norman Natcom Jr. And if you'd like to see some of Norman's artwork, he has a black portfolio right over there. And then normally in here we have a Plinkett master carver named Nathan Jackson, who has artwork all over the world: London, Germany, Japan, Switzerland, just to name a few, and throughout the lower 48s and up through Alaska. And if you'd like to see some of his work, he has a red portfolio right over there. Now the first set of tools for a carver is actually a pencil, piece of paper, and an eraser. This is so they can draw out the carving before they actually start carving. And this pull right here was done by Nathan Jackson, Norman Natcom Jr., and a third gentleman named Christian Dalton. This one was raised up on the Juneau docks 6 weeks ago as of Thursday. And then this is what it looks like today. Now there are three main types of woods that the carvers use. There's red cedar, yellow cedar, and red alder. The first one that I mentioned, red cedar, actually has two uses. The first use is for the bark. When in the village, we go out to the woods, find a nice western red cedar tree, strip off 1/3 of the bark, and the reason why I only say 1/3 is because if they took any more off, it would end up killing the tree, which they do not want. They want it to grow back for many future generations to use as well. What they use it for, such as hats, baskets, headbands, cedar rope, sleeping mats, anything that the village really might need. Second use for red cedar is actually for the tree itself, which we use for our much larger projects, such as totem poles, clan houses, dugout canoes, and panels. Second type of wood that I mentioned, yellow cedar, is a much tighter grained wood and shows better detail, which we use for dancing masks, dancing hats, rattles, paddles, and an interesting piece of art known as the bentwood box. The reason why I call it interesting is because the bentwood box is only made out of 3 pieces, which is the bottom, the middle 4 sides, and the top. And how they make the middle is the carver will notch it in 3 different places and then steam bed it onto itself to get something just like this. This one right here is being held together by some wooden dowels and a little bit of Gorilla Glue, but I never told you that. Here's another type of bentwood box. And back then, they would take crushed up clamshells, halibut slime, and use spruce root to hold it all together. Third type of wood that I mentioned, red alder, is what they use for their tool handles. A carver would go out to the woods, find a nice 45-degree angle branch, custom fit it to their hand, strap a blade onto it to get something just like this. This right here is called the elbow adze because the elbow-like shape. By chance, did any of you guys get to feel the walls, the benches, or the totems of the clan house? Because that tool was used to get that nice smooth touch. And before we had any metals, we used whalebone, beaver teeth, deer antler, jasper, obsidian, and most commonly found jade, which we get from the jade deposit up in the Juneau area. Second type of tool that they use is this one right here, which is called the lip adze. The reason why it's called the lip adze is because the lip on either side. This one's used in the middle stage of the project just to guide the blade to get that nice rough diagonal shape that the carver would like. Third type of tool that they use is this one right here, which is called the ship adze. Ship adze is similar to lip adze, just on a larger scale. They use this one to haul at the back of a totem pole and the inside of a dugout canoe. Now guys are probably wondering how they raise a totem pole. Well, they'll build an A-frame, dig a hole 6 to 8 feet in the ground, put a creosote log or nowadays metal pole, and then they would hoist the totem pole up to the beat of the drum, and off to the side would be the head carver, or the carver dancing to the beat of the drum, just like in the diagram behind me. You guys are probably wondering about the paints. We used charcoal and coal when it was more ready and available. Also used iron oxide and copper oxide. And it was actually the women of the village's job to make the paint. How they do that, they take the minerals, grind it into a nice fine powder, grab a handful of salmon eggs, put in their mouth, mix it with their saliva, then spit it back into the bowl with clenched teeth, so that no eggshells or pulp remain. But nowadays, for some odd reason, they don't do that anymore, so that forced the local carvers to go down to the local hardware store and get their own custom-made things. Now, a common question we get is, how fast can a carver get a pole done? A carver can get a foot to a foot and a half done per week. This all depends on how much detail is going into the pole, how many people working on it, the size of the pole, and what other projects the carver has going on as well. For instance, Nathan Jackson is currently working on this one, and he could have 2 to 3 other projects going on as well. And then Norman Natcong Jr. is working on this one, and he could have 2 to 3 other projects going on as well. And then this is what the pole will look like when it's all finished, and it is going to a private buyer in Idaho. Another common question we get is, who buys totem poles? Well, there's schools, libraries, airports, museums, cruise line, and then we have private buyers such as yourselves. Another common question we get is, how much do they cost? Well, a beginning carver charges $500 to $1,000 per foot, while a known carver charging $2,000 to $3,000 per foot. Then master carvers such as Nathan could charge $5,000 or more per foot. But do keep in mind, these are not exact numbers. These are just estimates. The real numbers lie between the carver and the buyer. With that being said, anyone want a totem pole today? No?
Are there small ones?
So, is there any questions?
Are there small totem poles?
Hmm?
Are there small totem poles?
Yeah. Yeah, so Norman Natcong Jr. here, he does make smaller totem poles. That one, right, which one is that one? That one is actually going to be this one when it is all finished. And he has a couple of, do you have a couple pieces down at Crazy Wolf still, or?
A little bit.
He does have some of his artwork down at this place called Crazy Wolf, as well. It is near Creek Street.
I just have one pole there for sale. Take credit card.
How much would it be?
500.
So for that one right there is $500.
You're not getting one today.
What's that?
He doesn't have a question.
Oh,
Any other questions?
You want two?
No questions? Yeah, those are the cedar chips that when they're carving it off, they'll put it in a bag and sell it for $1, or a couple of people will come here and take as much of it as they like. Or Nathan starts a fire with it right over there as well.
So they just use like the leftover like fires and stuff. Is that usually kind of what they use for fires? Or they come back?
Any kind of thing, but they would just use that one for that. Instead of having to go out there, they can just use the straps and start that with the fire.
Are the big ones always, did you see standing always a solid piece?
All totem poles are one piece. So for this one right here is all one piece. This one right here is all one piece as well. But these are 2 separate projects.
Right.
But there are some attachments to totem poles, such as beaks, wings, and fins.
Okay.
For like this one right here, this one is all one piece except for the wings and the fin down here.
Mm-hmm.
So those would be an attachment. Any other questions? Alright, since it looks like there's no other questions, I would like to say good cheese for your guys' attention. You do now have some free time, so you guys are welcome to head down to the gift shop or back in the park to take some pictures if you guys would like. The same driver that dropped you off will be here, and I believe she wants you guys back at, we'll say, 10:50 to 10:55. So you have now about 20 to 25 minutes of some free time, and she will meet you guys back here where you guys were dropped off.